Hello and welcome to this week's LexisClick Growth Show. Today we are talking about buyer personas. And why are we looking at buyer personas today, Chris?
Buyer personas are really important when considering what content you should be creating as a business, and we're going to tell you about why you should make sure that the buyer persona comes first before you start making content.
And the reason why we are reflecting on that and had a lot of thinking about that this week is I had a call last week. It's a coaching call, a bunch of other agencies. One of our tasks over the last few weeks to create a content cluster around content that's specifically relevant to our agency. And I realised we were a bit behind because we've been focusing on creating the vlog and that side of things. So I was like, right, Chris, we've got to really get stuck into this. We identified a good topic cluster around growth, and we identified about 10 pieces of content that we could write about that are highly relevant to growth. And then it was the long weekend, and both myself and Chris came back on Tuesday, and we were rubbing our heads a little bit and looking a little bit pensive. And the reason for that is that we realised that in our haste to create content, our keenness to create content, that we hadn't really thought about our buyer persona enough and the specific journey that they're likely to take with us as a business. So we realised that some of the content items that we'd prioritised to write about because they were highly relevant to that topic cluster is that they weren't really as relevant to our persona, MD Dave, as they could have been. And I think that that's something that's really common for a lot of businesses to fall into that trap, isn't it?
Something will happen and you'll get inspired and you think, right, I'm going to go and make a bunch of content, whether that's written content or video content or what have you. But ultimately, you need to make sure that the content you're creating is really well aligned to the person you're creating it for, because otherwise it's just a waste of time, really.
Yeah. So you can, and that was the reflection that we had, and we realised actually we've just fallen into that same trap that we work so hard to educate our customers that they don't fall into it so regularly. We'll go and see a customer and they'll go like, do we really need to spend this time on this customer persona? Why do we need to invest that time? It's in our heads. We know the customer persona. We know the content that's going to be relevant to them. The reality is, as we learn ourselves, is that it's really easy to get stuck into the marketing activities and not really think enough about that customer persona. We think about our own needs, we think about ranking on search, we think about getting the advertising up and running, all these things. And the reality is we're not thinking enough about the person, ultimately the customer. We're not putting them front and center of our marketing activities because we're keen just to crack on with the activities. And that's really the key thing, is just to make sure that you're always looking and planning and then executing your activities with that customer persona in mind. Because the other thing that we realize is that we make a lot of assumptions when we're putting together a marketing plan. Yes, we research, yes, we do the customer personas, we do all of these things, but at the same time, we are making assumptions, and it's really important to test those assumptions. There's nothing wrong with making assumptions, because they're educated assumptions at the end of the day, and a lot of work goes into the assumptions that we're making, and a lot of experience. They're based on a lot of experience, but they're still assumptions at the end of the day. And that's a key message that we're always working on. It's like, right, what tests can we create? And let's make sure these assumptions are documented and that we're testing those assumptions, and we're testing, are those assumptions we made actually accurate, and are they what the persona is actually bothered about and experiencing?
And I think a buyer persona is something that develops over time, and it's not something that you just write and you put it in a file somewhere and never look at it again. It's something that should be evaluated on a regular basis, whether that's annually or quarterly. You can come up with different ways of targeting these people, that maybe they're interested in this, or maybe the topics that they're actually looking for answers on are this. You can create that topic and then you can write some content about it and see whether it actually works, and it may or may not be working. It may not be resonating with your actual ideal customers. So it's really important to do those kind of tests.
And the key thing, invest time in creating a customer persona for your business, invest the time in creating a journey and mapping that journey out that they want to take with you and that you would like them to take with you as well. And then every time that you're planning stuff, just plan it out with that customer at the center of it, and really thinking about that customer and making sure that that journey they have with you and every bit of content and marketing activity that you're investing in is very well aligned with that customer and the journey that they want to take with you and that you want them to take with you. Absolutely. If you do that, you'll find that you'll get much better conversion rates all the way through your marketing funnel.
Brilliant.
So that's us for this week. We've had a few background noises and interesting characters in there, which is always good. Look forward to catching up with you next week. Chris can do the subscription bit.
If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And until next week,